Welcome back, guys. Peter here at Vision One Racing. We have just released the HD Detent Kit for our Nissan 6-speed front-wheel drive transmissions, and we've been getting a lot of questions of what they are, where they're installed, what they do, that type of stuff. So just figured I'd make a quick video, show you guys what exactly we're talking about, where they go, how they feel, and really what they're going to do for you. So here we have the kit. This is what you're going to get. It's 4 springs. Each one is custom tailored per gear. So make sure when you get this, don't just dump them out on a table. I did include on the instructions some brief ways to identify which is which, just in case. But on the back, they're marked. This will be for your reverse position, your 5th, 6th gear, 3rd, 4th gear, and your 1st, 2nd gear. So keep that in order. We're going to do one at a time here, but I'm going to walk you through really head to toe and just show you how easy this really is. All you need is a 14mm socket and ratchet, a magnet, your instructions, and your kit. You're good to go. Headed over to the car here, we'll just point out really where each position for these springs. So on top of your transmission in the front, just above the shift fork, this is going to be your reverse detent. In the back, this is for 5th and 6th gear. See if we can clear that up. So these 2 plugs are going to come out. And then over on the side, the driver's side here, you're going to want to take your wheel off, take any inner fender well off, and right on the side back of the transmission, just above the axle, you have 2 plugs back here. The bottom one is going to be your 1st and 2nd gear, and the top one here is going to be your 3rd and 4th. Now there's a few motions in the shifter that are solved by different things. Some of you may already have our shift selector springs. Those are going to help firm up the side-to-side motion. And really what that is accomplishing is when you're from 2nd gear here and you go to shift to 3rd gear, it's got to kick back over to center. And the factory springs are actually super soft. And so it's easy to kind of get stuck between the 1st and 3rd gate here. So by installing our shift selector springs, that's going to kick that over nice and firm, give you a nice quality 2-3 shift. The detent springs are a little different in that each click that you feel in the gear, those are the detents, and we'll show you on the shift fork what exactly is happening. But by firming up that spring, it's going to give you a nice crisp engagement into each gear, and it really improves that feedback. It's hard to get on camera, but this 5th gear is just trash. Reverse is not any better, so that's why we have custom tailored each spring, really give the amount of force that we feel should be necessary for each gear. So here we have a factory shift fork. And inside the transmission, this is actually what's happening here. So you have these different grooves that the check ball is going to sit in. The center one is the neutral position. And when you shift into either 1st gear or 2nd gear, 3rd, 4th, etc., this spring is actually going to have to compress. The ball will ride up the ramp and click into the next spot. And that's going to hold your shift fork in place. That's going to give you a nice feel in the shifter. All around, that's ultimately what you're feeling inside the cars. So by swapping these out with the V1R spring, we've increased the spring rate to give you a nice positive ratcheting feel in each gear. Really crisps up that shifter. A special note is when you take this plug out, you're going to take the spring out, make sure that this check ball stays inside the transmission. As long as the transmission's inside the car, gravity really is not going to let that fall out. But just take note, if you do have a ball come out, make sure that it goes back in. This check sleeve and that other check ball are not going to come out unless you really try. So just don't worry about those. Make sure you're only swapping a spring out. You'll be good to go. So let's head back over to the car here. We'll take you through it head to toe. First things you're going to want to do is disconnect the battery and probably jack up the car and take off the driver front wheel, as well as that inner fender well if you're still using it. That's really going to clear up some space for you. So first things first, to tackle these 5/6 and reverse springs, going to want to remove any intake piping. Like I said, make sure your battery is disconnected so you're not accidentally shorting out in the starter here. And let's get to it. So with the intake piping out of the way, you got clear access to the reverse, fairly good access to the 5/6 back here. So we're going to tackle the reverse here, get the nice simple one out of the way. So again, I'm just going to need a 14mm socket on a ratchet. Flex head works nice, but really anything will do. Take that plug out. You see the spring resides underneath. Grab our magnet and pull the factory spring out here. So we'll flip this over, and we're just going to grab the reverse spring here at first. I already have them laid out. Just like I said, make sure you're only removing one at a time. Grab your reverse spring. Pop that back in. Grab your plug. Thread that in, tighten her down. Specification is on the instructions if you choose to use that. And we're just going to move back to our 5th, 6th gear. Move the plug. Again, grab your 5th, 6th gear. It's going to be a nice long spring. Sneak in here and take the factory one out. Alright, had to actually get a different magnet here. That one didn't want to come out, but grab your 5th, 6th spring, pull that out. Set that aside. Grab the long V1R spring. Pop that in the hole. Thread your plug back in. Tighten that one. And now we're going to head over to the side here and tackle these other two. So I'm going to jump over to this 1st, 2nd gear. Again, that's on the lower side. Apologize, working with one hand here. Make sure you don't lose that. Grab our magnet. Pull the first, second spring out. Set that aside. And I'm gonna go to the first, second spring here. I have it set aside. And we'll head up to the third, fourth. So that one's on the top. It's more towards the outer part of the transmission. Again, make sure you're not dropping and losing these plugs. Safe to say that most of you likely do not have extras. So we'll grab our magnet. Pull out the third, fourth spring. Set that aside. Only one left is our third, fourth. Slip that in. Put our plug back in. Towards that factory spec. And just like that. So let's head on in the car here. We'll show you exactly what they're doing. So here we are back inside. And the first thing you might notice is if you give this a little push forward now, it's really going to pop into the next position. So that's ultimately what I personally like best about these. If we head over to fifth gear, you remember that was absolute garbage before. A little bit of a motion up and it sucks it right in. So it's a nice positive feel. And as you're going down the track, as you're driving through the street, you're just gonna feel this nice crisp motion into the gear, out of the gear, into the next gear. So there you guys have it. That about sums everything up. About the only thing we didn't cover is putting the charge pipe on, but put the charge pipe back on, put your wheel back on, inner fender well, anything that you took off, hook your battery up and go take it for a spin. So thank you so much for supporting Vision One Racing. I hope you guys like it. Hope this helps you out. If you have any other questions, feel free to reach out. But feel free to like, comment, share, post up your own install videos if you choose. That'd be great. We appreciate the support.